Good morning. Good morning. I hope everyone is doing well, or I guess this is afternoon, depending on where you're at. Just going to make sure that this is working correctly. And because of my previous problems, if you can hear me, just please let me know. And then I'll get started as soon as I see the first person, making sure this is actually live here. Okay. So let's get going now. It says I'm live. Is anyone out there? Let's see. Anyone? I have definitely had a problem between Zoom and Facebook, getting them to work together to be able to, okay, someone's here. Hi, Judy. Okay, let's get going then. Just want to make sure I'm all set. Okay, I hope you guys are all doing well today and are blessed. And we're going to start day 2 of this cancer series. And I'm excited about that. I need to still put some links out there for you guys. And so I will be doing that. I was actually on the phone today with American Cancer Society for probably like an hour and 15 minutes, trying to get some information clarified, which unfortunately was not able to get clarified, except for what I'll be sharing with you today. And then we'll have to use our own judgment for what the thought process is for that, for you, what you think. And if you don't know me already, my name is Stacey Kimbrell, and thank you for joining. Cancer is something that's dear to my heart, just in general, because I wouldn't want anyone ever to get that, no matter who we are, what age, all of that. And I've unfortunately experienced family member and friends who've had it and passed, and some who've had it and are still here. So that's beautiful. And nevertheless, we want to educate people on what they can do for themselves so that they can have the opportunity to make a better choice. What someone chooses to do with the information that's provided in life is up to them, of course. But if we have the information or have the knowledge or the research or know how to share this information, I believe it's our responsibility to do so. And then someone can make their decision. So my book is Living Balanced, is on health and nutrition and chemical awareness. Sorry for my little post-it notes. And that's something you could get on my website at livinganointed.com, or you can go to Amazon if you're interested. And on livinganointed.com will be one of the chemical cheat sheets that you can print out. I'll show you that in a second. So that's something that you can use when you go shopping and so forth. So you can learn how, what, if you're buying such a product, you can know if you want to buy this one instead, so forth. Okay, so let me just get started real quick. And I am going to be sharing my screen. Okay, so when we look at the process of deduction or elimination, or just using applied common sense to things, okay? It used to be on the American Cancer Society's website that the stats were always, all these stats right here in 2021, because they're always like a year behind. This is what I need to disclose to be factual on their website, that there's an estimated 1.8 million new cancers diagnosed, over 600,000 deaths in the United States. That means that there's over 50,000 people dying a month of cancer. And that's for all ages, races, and genders. That's not just for breast or this or that, or, if you're male or female, it's for all ages, races, and genders. Okay, so that's quite a bit. And that's why we want to share this information. I'm going to show you this on their website in a second. 5 to 10% of all cancers are genetic or defect or mutation inherited from a parent. What I am showing you the second is what it used to say, and it does say some places, but it no longer says it on the American Cancer Society's website. That's why I was on the phone with them today, where 90-95% of all cancers from lifestyle and environment for all ages, races, and genders. Now, if you have 100%, these numbers match up, that if only 5 to 10% of all cancer is genetic, and it's written many times at the American Cancer Society's website, and other sources where they get these stats from and everything, which I'll show you in a second, only 5 to 10% is genetic, then what is the rest of the up to 95%, right? So they're saying that they don't know anymore what the rest of it is. They just know about a certain percentage that's lower than this now. But if we use the process of deduction, I don't see any other way you can get around that. Once again, lifestyle is made up of smoking, alcohol, poor nutrition, obesity, physical inactivity. Environment has to do with the UV rays, gamma rays, X-rays, mammogram, CAT scan, PET scans, radon, chemo, and so forth. So when we go to this next page here, this is where it says more than 4 in 10 cancer deaths linked to modifiable risk factors, which we'll be going over what that means again. And this is saying that 42% of cancers and 45% of cancer deaths in the US are linked to modified risk factors. That's the lifestyle and environment. They just have different words for different things on different pages with most of the time the same percentages. And so you can see that once again, that has to do with weight, alcohol, eating red or processed meats, diets low in fruit and vegetables, and dietary fiber. All this information here is like amazing, that they have really changed how they do things and what they suggest for diet. So that's fantastic. So that's like amazing. Right here, this up here is called, if you ever search up something that says GOV, so obviously that means the government, right? So this is the US National Library of Medicine, the National Institute for Health. And you'll see down here, because this was the stat that we always had, 5 to 10% of all cancer is attributed to genetic defects, whereas the remaining 90 to 95% of their root is an environment and lifestyle. So this is, once again, when you're looking at what they're saying here, this is what we're looking at here. Hopefully you all can read this. Let me try to make my screen a little bit bigger. So here we go. 5 to 10% of all cancer can be contributed to genetic defects, right? 95, their root. What's the root cause of the problem? The root cause of the problem has to do with what we're doing to ourselves knowingly or unknowingly. So now, let me make this bigger for you. So this is the National Cancer Institute. This is the American Cancer Society referred me to this website with their phone number and information. How many people survive 5 years or more after being diagnosed with cancer? So saying the 5-year relative survival rate is 67%. And when we scroll down here, I was sort of surprised to see that more men get cancer and die of cancer than females. And I'll be posting this link on this specific day 2 video, okay? Deaths per 100,000, and males beat women pretty dramatically, to be honest with you. I was not expecting that, but that is what the case is. And then when we come down over here, let me see if this is it right here. Oops, I think I'm supposed to go here. Cancer stat facts. Nope, I'm incorrect. Let me go here. This just pulled up different a second ago. I'm sorry. Here we go. At a glance, 2001 new cases and cancer deaths. Cancer deaths for 2001 is 54%, 22% for lung and bronchial, 9 for colon, pancreatic is 8, 7 is, excuse me, please let me re-say that. Other kinds of cancer is 54%. 22 is for lung, colon and rectum is 9%, 8% is pancreas, breast is 7%. So there's a huge mortality rate going on, and this is a reason for this call. When it comes into genetics, this says genes and cancer, family cancer syndrome. Only about 5 to 10% of all cancer is direct result from gene defects called mutations or inherited from a parent. So this is a part that's really important. If you look at nothing else, is to be aware that if only 5 to 10% of cancer is genetic, then we have the ability to really do our due diligence and research to figure out how we can help ourselves. This is from the Cancer of Disease Control and Prevention. Right here, they also say it, hereditary cancers only account for about 10% of all cancers. Okay, so that's important to be aware of. right here, this is on the National Cancer Institute, also the American Cancer Society referred me to them. Hereditary cancers, genetic mutations play a role in about 5 to 10% of all cancers. And you may ask why I'm saying this over and over. The point is that I want you to really understand what it is. These are from different sources, all current information. I'm doing this presentation live because as time goes, sometimes my previous screen I had for you is no longer the same on the American Cancer Society's website, but they don't account for 45% of cancer accounts. So that number's changed. I'm trying to show you in live time. I haven't typed this. It's not a PowerPoint that I made up. This is a real thing that you can be aware for yourself. When it comes to someone having cancer, I am all for getting early detection and screening of different sorts. I think it's very important if someone has cancer that they should get genetic tests done. Number one is to know if they have genetic cancer, so they can understand how this happened or not, or what they can do moving forward, okay? Also, the second main reason, if not the first reason, is that if someone is going to choose to do medications and chemo, then when you have that genetic testing, they can actually test what kinds of medication will work better for you than not. So there's like a blanket chemo pill and there's a specific chemo pill that would work better for you than this one if you had your genetics tested and found out. I'm not really for chemo. Everyone can do what they really want to do. I'm just giving you what the best choice is depending on what you're going to do, okay? To help you understand, if you are going to treat yourself through the normal Western medical treatment facilities with radiation and chemo and all that kind of stuff, you should get a genetic test done. Your doctor should not oppose to be doing that, and then find out what kind of medication will work best for you personally, and that would be the best, okay? When it comes to two types of mutations, we're talking about genetic mutations, and this part is the next biggest part I really need you to hear, is a genetic mutation is described as inherited or acquired. Inherited gene mutation is presented in the egg and the sperm that is formed to make a child after the egg is fertilized by the sperm. Let's go here. So this is coming from what happens from obviously mom and dad coming together and what my genetic disposition is versus, for example, my husband Steve's, and then how that relates to our children. That's called a genetic mutation. And if we have some type of mutation, then of course our kids have a chance of getting it or not getting it, right? So that would be inherited, which is the main key word here. Acquired mutations, let me make this bigger here. There we go. Acquired mutations is not present when you create this cell, right? And it's occurred later on. Let me show you right here. Okay, sorry. Most acquired mutations are acquired sometime later in life, right? And it goes down here to say that it is acquired because of what we're doing to ourselves, knowingly or unknowingly. So mutations can be caused for things that expose in the environment, including smoking, radiation, hormones, diet, and the list just goes on. So it's really important to realize that there's genetic, which we just talked about, and then there's acquired mutations. So if we can mess up or damage or destroy our genetic makeup, right, then we should have the ability to refix it. If we can break down our DNA and destroy it, we should be able to rebuild that again. And I can't talk about that in this call because I'm not allowed to per the FDA and the FTC, but you have to know that you can do your own research and you can figure out, ask somebody, ask whoever referred you to this call, right, what you can do for yourself or your family. If you've destroyed something, it's possible that you can rebuild it to some extent, whether it's 50, 80, or 100%, okay? So you have the opportunity for that. Genetic testing, once again, this is just another cancer the National Cancer Institute right here, let me make this bigger for you, is talking about inherited changes versus being not inherited, right? So it says sometimes it appears to run in families. This is not caused by inherited variants. For example, people who share the same lifestyle, such as using tobacco or cause other other things, that becomes like it becomes a lifestyle that has developed from family to generation. So it's not that it's genetic, it's a lifestyle that you've adapted to your life, and now other things have happened and changing your DNA sequence. And so once again, that's just another way of showing that. When it comes to breast cancer, which I'll be talking more about that a little bit later, it says breast cancer risk factors you cannot change. I'm sort of surprised by this one as well. And it doesn't mean that you're going to get breast cancer, but the factors are of getting older, or if you had inherited problems, lifestyle related breast cancers, being born a female. I was like, oh my gosh, well, that stinks because, right, I was born a female. So born a female, you're already at a risk factor for getting cancer more than men, although men do get breast cancer as well, just so you know. But you have to remember some of the main reasons for females getting cancer is an imbalance in hormones, right? So just so you know, as a young woman, it's normal to society today, but it is not what should be happening. It was not normal back in the day that people would have menstrual issues. So you have to realize that if you have heavy periods or pain or chronic headaches and migraines, endometriosis, adenomyosis, can't get pregnant, can't stay pregnant, polycystic ovary disease, postpartum depression, but let's just stick with something simple, menstrual problems. Young women, it used to be that around 13-ish, they would start getting their menstrual cycle. Now it's down to 6 and 8 kids are starting. That's because of what we're doing to ourselves with all the extra hormones and different things in our lotions and potions and our drinks and our foods that we're just not aware of. And we need to become aware of, because these are the things that's corrupting. And, if you just had a dose of something, some chemical or some zytoestrogen, which my opinion is like soy or the BPA from plastic bottles, that kind of stuff, right? Then if you just had a dose of it one time in life, your body will be able to handle that and take care of it, right? But when you're getting some every day and at lunch and at noon or at dinner, at bedtime, in the morning, on Tuesday, Thursday, and Wednesday, all these different, the accumulation, the body burden that's coming up is going to affect you, male or female, a young person or someone my age or older. So we have to be aware that it's not normal. So this is really important. If you know someone who is a young woman who has started their menstrual cycle and they have heavy periods or no periods or pain, that is not okay, and that is not normal. And no, they do not need birth control pills. They should figure out how to balance their hormones. Your doctor may want to help you with this, and they may not help you with this, but then you need to seek that information, because it's not normal. It's not how God created it. It's not how it's designed. And just like if you had a broken leg and you couldn't walk, you would like, oh, I have to go get it reset. Or if you had a muscle strain, you would not use it for a little bit because you strained your muscle. If there's something going wrong in your body, there's a reason. It's trying to tell you something. But generally speaking, it's not addressed the correct way, and we've just considered it normal. When I started my cycle back in the day, my periods were so bad, I would take like 2,800 of Motrin a day for like the first 3 days. And I usually didn't go to school or work during that time. And then I got on birth control pills until 13 to 25, I think it was. And if you go research how the rates of birth control and, like the stats of that, it's like a problem. So these are things that we should not have to deal with. Now, going back to this slide here, so you can see, once again, per the American Cancer Society, this is regarding specifically breast cancer factors. Inherited certain genes is only 5 to 10% of breast cancer cases are thought to be inherited, which means directly comes from the gene mutation passed down from a parent. So there's a ton of people who is very widely known about have breast cancer. So we have to see what we can do to help people. Underlining other effects, let's just see what this says real quick. Let's see. Drinking alcohol is another risk factor, being overweight or obese, not being physically active, not having children. Breastfeeding actually helps you with not getting breast cancer. Being on birth control, some birth control hormones might increase breast cancer risk. It's like telling you right here, we have to start reading fine print. This is like scary. Hormone therapy after menopause. Some of these chemicals are bad, and we should really figure out how you can do things, in my opinion, naturally. Breast implants have had effects with creating breast cancer. So these are things that we have in our control to some extent regarding breast cancer facts, which since it's on here, we'll say it real quick, right? Where did it just go? Let me go back one screen, just so we all can be clear on this. Inherited changes for genes, about 5 to 10% of breast cancer cases are thought to be hereditary, which means a direct gene mutation from their parent. That's it, okay? So let's learn what we can do for ourselves. Okay, I went over this yesterday, but I forgot two things, and it's important to bring up, so I'm going to do that now. Known and probable human carcinogens. There's this list, I'll be posting this again. It goes over almost 300 chemicals that we're used to knowing about. Mineral oils, there's formaldehyde right here. There's also benzene right here, okay? So with that information, let me just share with you a couple of things. And that is when it comes to benzene, okay, this is something that was taken off the market, but somehow it's still, and it's on the American Cancer Society's website as causing cancer, right? That's a problem. And on top of that, it is, it's one of the top 20 chemicals that's produced, right? But yet it's on the American Cancer Society's website. It's found in, what's it found in? Well, it's found in quite a few things, but the two things recently that have been addressed with the FDA is that it's found in sunscreen, and there's over 70 products, 70 sunscreen products that benzene is found in that people are using on a regular basis. Remember, when you're supposed to be, they tell you to avoid the sun. If you're in the sun, well, you're getting these chemicals baked into your skin, which is your largest organ. 255 recalls from hand sanitizer over this last year and a half. And some of them have benzene in them. And this is the thing that is like irritating and frustrating, is that how is it that if we have an FDA who's in the EPA here, why are we having products that are found toxic later that we can buy in the store that we use unknowingly, and we're trusting and that it's on the market and it's safe for us? So this is why you have to be an avid reader of labels and learn for yourself. Formaldehyde, once again, nail polish, nail glue, eyelash glue, hair gel, baby shampoos, body washes, cosmetics, body soap, whatever, right? And so that's something that is, that's a problem, because, for years they had formaldehyde in the Johnson & Johnson baby shampoo that says guaranteed no tears. Well, the reason why guaranteed no tears is because it had formaldehyde, which numbs the nerves. And so it numbed the nerves in their tear ducts, so it wouldn't be irritating to them. None of us need formaldehyde, embalming fluid that deadens the nerves in our body. But they knew that's what they did. They knew it was formaldehyde. They know it's controversial, but since no one knew, they were allowed to keep it in there for like 50 years. So that's, crazy. And there's one other chemical I really wanted to go over because it was just, it's outrageous to see in this chemical list. I'm trying to find the A, B, C, D. Okay. This right here is called, let me share my screen again for you. If you heard me talk about 10 years ago, I was sharing this like heavily back in the day, especially doing endocrine teachings right here. Okay, this is called, the big word, I don't know how to say it, but it's called DES, okay, or DESplex. Now, this one is, let me go over here. Here's the names for formaldehyde right here in blue. We went over that yesterday. You'll be able to have that link. Okay, let me go back. Okay, this is DESplex, okay? And let me make this bigger for you so you can make sure you see it. What's going on here? Okay, that's as big as I can get it. Okay, DESplex was a cream that our government and doctors gave to moms to rub on their belly during pregnancy. This was going on for quite some time. This goes back to like 1938 through the well, it was supposed to stop in 1970 when the FDA put out, hey, doctors, don't use this anymore. But they didn't take it off the market, so doctors were still using it. Maybe not everyone got the memo, I don't know, but anyhow, people were still using it. So this is like a crazy situation here. And you read it, it says it was to prevent abortion, miscarriages, and premature labor, okay? And they were to rub this on their belly. And so people did it blindly. They had no idea, they had no idea of the side effects possibly, and why would they? Because people just trust what is being told to them on a regular basis. So this is like a serious thing. The mutations, the, oh goodness, the defects that was happening with children being born without ears or limbs. Obviously, they found it stunts the growth of teenagers. They were using this far up into the 1978. And then also, this is the morning after contraceptive birth control pill, right? So people are still getting this, but the problem is it was used to treat acne. So people putting this on their skin, it's going into their bloodstream. The problem is that this is in people's blood. It changes their DNA, it changes their hormone makeup. So literally they have images of uteruses and the cervix and all this, and what just using the abnormality of, I said that wrong, of the cells from just using DESplex, okay? And you're talking about a generational effect from mother to daughter to son to mother to daughter, son, going on for a long period of time. And the risk of what it did to people, and even with sterilization or having trouble these days with getting pregnant and all that. And when I was teaching on this back in the day, I had met so many people that had used this. It was just like so sad and frustrating, because now they're looking at their grown kids and saying, oh my gosh, I wonder if when you start researching, I wonder if this is the reason why. And this was an experiment. It wasn't even taken off the market like it should have been when they found out what was wrong with it. And so these are the kind of experiments that are going on back in the day, and in my opinion, still go on today, because things are not necessarily treated or tested, like it should be. And so that is a severe problem. American Cancer Society's website moving forward, because you got to think this has a lot to do with people's hormones. If my mom doesn't have enough hormones, how can she give me enough when she conceives me and when I'm born? Yeah, I mean, we have to think about the big picture. Why doesn't my mom have enough? And for whatever the reason is, whether it's effects from different medications or things that we're using unknowingly, or because of what her mom possibly used that she didn't know about, whatever, or dad, whatever the case may be, we keep passing down deficiencies of vitamins, minerals, good fats, proteins, and hormones. It's not always a genetic thing. We're passing down deficiencies because of our lifestyles, and we just don't eat this, or we don't know about this, or whatever the case is. It says, can endometriosis or endometrial cancer be prevented? This is on the American Cancer Society's website. There's no such way to prevent endometrial cancer, but there are things you can do that may help lower the risk of developing this disease. I don't think that's true that there's not a way to prevent endometrial cancer. It's just like outrageous to even read that. But it says people who stay a healthy weight have a better chance. If you're physically active, which we all should be, have a better chance. The pros and cons of hormone therapy. This is the part I really want you to see. Estrogen to treat symptoms of menopause is available in many different forms like pills, skin patches, shots, creams, and vaginal rings. And I want you to hear this part real quick. Skin patches, right? That means it's something that you just put on your skin, and then that medication, that estrogen absorbs into your bloodstream, right? So you have to think about whatever you're putting on your skin, good or bad, it's going to have an effect in your body one way or another. If you're thinking about using estrogen for menopause, ask your doctor about how it will affect your risk of endometrial cancer. And it goes through, and actually in the other area, I talked about how it's going to affect you having breast cancer. If you use hormone replacement, you could get breast cancer as well. So this is something that if you can find a way to change your lifestyle, eat better, get your hormones balanced in a natural way that's not synthetic, man-made, that will possibly give you cancer, then obviously that would be a much better choice, right? So there's that. Moving forward, we're going to talk about children for a second. Anyone who does have children, I'm sure you can agree with me that there's never in our thought process or our mind and say, let me have a child that's born with cancer or with whatever other issue, right? That's not the desire for any of us. Nevertheless, it does happen. So I take full responsibility. Let me say this really clearly. From the knowledge that I have learned and received over the last few years, I take full responsibility for not knowing how I should live my life prior to getting pregnant, and not to know how to live it during my pregnancy and how that affected, and I know my husband would say the same thing, and what our choices were, what we did unknowingly, and how that affected our children. And it did affect our children. I can guarantee you that, and I have proof of that because there's things that are no longer. And so this is coming from a place that I wish I would have known and had this opportunity. But if you don't have children, or if you're thinking about having children, then make steps to change yourself and get yourself straight before you conceive. You have that ability. If you're in the middle of the pregnancy, you can do that right now with the best of your ability and oversaturate your body with the nutrients it needs to do so. The American Cancer Society suggests that you only do that with food, but they don't believe in also that there's a problem with sugar, and they don't think that organic's a better choice, and not eating processed packaged foods maybe is not the best choice necessarily. It depends where you go on their website, because sometimes they say yes, sometimes they say no. So, I do believe in supplementation. That's all I can say about that at this moment. But, we have to figure out what we can do for ourselves. If you want to have children, then you should cleanse out your body and get it all clean, and you should rebuild it with nutrients so you have the best opportunity to have the best, healthiest, happiest child available on this planet. Like, that is the goal here. So here we go, sharing once again. So effects, this is on the American Cancer Society website, late effects of childhood cancers and treatment. Today, because of advanced treatments, more than 80% of children treated with cancer survive at least 5 years. I mean, that stat just makes you want to cry thinking about it, right? 5 years. But the same treatments that help your child survive the cancer can also cause problems later on. So these are called late effects because of the treatments that were done. So this is why after someone has cancer and they're in remission, you cannot go back to eating ho-hos and ding-dongs or soda or McDonald's or any of these kind of things. You have to live a life that is straight and chemical-free, with as much of exercise and relaxation and good sleep and water and nutrition that you can possibly get. because otherwise your chances for long-term survival are not as great, and you'll go in and out of remission, which obviously not only affects you, it affects your whole family and all your friends that love and care for you. And we need to be responsible so that we're not put in that position to have to make those choices and to have our family have to go through that kind of agony as well. Really, that would be a much better choice. Right here, can cancer in young people be prevented? Most cancers in young adults do not have a known cause, so it is not possible to prevent all of them, but there are things that you can do to lower your risk, limiting lifestyle-related environmental risk factors, right? So we go back to this, what is environmental and lifestyle risk? So let's see here. Some exposures may not be able to avoid it, but if you can avoid getting radiation treatments, you need to do that. Because if your kid needs an MRI or ultrasound, that's okay. There's no radiation involved there. But only if it's life-threatening should they be getting a CAT scan or even x-rays, because the younger the child is the more apt that they're guaranteed to get cancer if they're exposed to radiation. I think it was like under 15 or 16, while they're still growing and developing. So obviously the frontal lobe is not developed until the age of 25, I believe it is 24 or 25. So that's a problem. But the younger the child is, and if you have to take your child somewhere, you definitely want to go to a children's hospital because the radiation doses are less, where there's not a big dial you can adjust when you go to a regular ER. And so if you're at a regular ER, a kid is going to get an adult dose of radiation, which is not good for either one of us, but it's going to be a more dramatic effect on a younger child. Of course, they say a better choice is not to smoke, have a healthy weight, not to drink alcohol, avoid tanning salons. I had no idea that tanning salons were actually cause cancer. Of course, it says limiting sex partners. And so that's some things that it says for a child, that, their lifestyle as well. And, if half of your plate is not a fruit color of the rainbow, then that's a problem. And I don't mean Skittles, like fruits and vegetables, right? And as raw as possible is better, or frozen and like steamed versus canned. Canned is not something you want. I love this part because, as I said, the American Cancer Society website goes in and out of saying different things. They do contradict themselves a lot, but for this, I will take it. What a child needs, right? Child needs protein, carbohydrates, fat, water, vitamins, and minerals. Isn't that exciting? That is what we need. And I think it bothers me that when there's, $50 billion for that has come through the American Cancer Society, and I have a stat on what it says they use it for, but I think it was like 22% goes for workers and volunteers, or not volunteers, but administration, and the rest of it goes through research, right? But teaching about prevention, where does that come from? I have been with people that go to doctors, their cancer doctor. I have never seen them give any of this information out, that, hey, let's change your lifestyle, let's change your diet, let's help you. There should be a liaison that helps with this kind of thing, right? And helping learn how to make a better choice, because the registered dietitians are taught by the FDA and the AMA anyhow. So the information they're getting is pretty crazy, because I went to one myself back in the day, and she just told me what a better choice was at McDonald's and Burger King and Wendy's. I'm like, you shouldn't even eat those foods. I'm like, what are we talking about? It's crazy. So it's exciting that they give this opportunity here. And they do suggest that it should come from foods. I do not believe in all the things they say personally. I do believe as a good olive oil is a good fat. I think canola, peanut oil are awful. I don't believe in vegetable oil. I do not believe in corn oil. Flaxseed is fantastic. They don't even mention coconut oil, which is a good saturated fat. Oh, here it is. Some oils like coconut and palm kernel are saturated. I'm sorry, I did not see that before. Coconut would be a great oil, right? And, if you want to, just please go Google how do you make canola oil? And then if you still want to consume it, go ahead. But it's like a 9 or 15-minute video, and you should not be consuming canola oil. It's like not a good thing. Of course, I talk about water and fluids and the minerals. They do suggest a doctor may recommend a multivitamin while your child is being treated, right? So that's fantastic. Look into what you can do for yourself and your family for good nutrition. Of course, changing it from your diet from the inside out is always going to be the best way to go. And then if you need to, for you and your family, figure out the best supplementation regimen that you can do to help support yourselves. Okay, I'm going to end this call for today because it's been a little over 40 minutes. Tomorrow, I will be digging in right away with the environmental factors that go over radiation, whether it's from an X-ray or a mammogram, a CAT scan, this earth, our cell phones, when you go through an airport scanner, all of that kind of stuff. And when it comes to environmental cancers and in the workplace, the people that are most affected is great. It talks about agriculture and Pepsi, not Pepsi, a Coca-Cola plant. It's like crazy. Agriculture with all the pesticides and herbicides that people are working in that field all the time. So we'll go over that as well. Okay. I hope that you have a blessed day today, and thank you so much for your time. Okay. Bye-bye.